First time for everything on an American game. No, I'm not going to do any accents. I'm going to do the intro. Mauricio Pochettino was questioned in his pre-match press conference about the U.S. national team's record against European teams. We've lost 10 matches in a row, including 7 under Poch. He said the day before the game,
"Tomorrow, we have a good opportunity to fight the history."
Yes, fight the history. That's what we're all about at an American game. We're fighting history or the lack of it, because people tell us that all the time. Like one of my heroes, Dr. Clement Alexander Price, always told us as students, complicate the narrative. And that's what we're all about, complicating the story, fighting for history.
And as far as World Cup 2026 history is concerned, it is still an American game. The U.S. beat Bosnia-Herzegovina to advance to the round of 16 and a historic rematch against Belgium up in Seattle.
That's going to be a few days after our 250th birthday celebration.
In roughly our 150th year as a soccer nation, whether you like it or not. Quick game recap from last night. You've probably heard other recaps. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but first of all, Tyler Adams is great. The little flick to create the goal, all over the place, destroying, creating, organizing. But that moment where we thought he might have a head injury opened up the, oh crap, there is no cover for him conversation that we all had when the roster was announced. Bosnia-Herzegovina obviously did not believe in Matt Freese.
I'm not sure I do yet. We're keepers here. And it's not just because he went to that school up in Cambridge.
It felt like they were choosing to test him early. They took that flat shot from outside the box that he just kind of slapped straight back out into a dangerous area, which is an issue that Matt Turner has had. They attempted an Olympico on him, which he scrambled to clear, but wasn't super convincing. Long attempts in the second half trying to catch him, and some of his distribution was shaky. But headline was a clean sheet. And Freese stood tough when they were down to 10 men.
Fair. I agree. Yes, he did. But some of those shots that were whistling by his right post and his left post and then his right post again, yes, scared me a little bit.
As everyone will tell you today, including anchors on Fox News, I saw, the red card on Balogun was absolute trash.
You watch Fox News?
I see the clips on Blue Sky.
Okay. Never read. Yellow, yes, absolutely. No intent, no malice. It wasn't like Roy Keane's friend Seamus, who always says,
if you're going to go with violence. Apparently, the red can't be appealed because of FIFA regulations. But come on, we're the US of A. We don't care about our Constitution. You think we care about FIFA rules? What's FIFA? Switzerland? That's the 52nd state.
And what is so wrong with some home cooking? We deserve it. Look, England. And the last time it came home, never left Wembley, had favorable refereeing decisions throughout, including on the Jeff Hurst goal that was not over the line. Talk about home cooking.
Final note from the game, Malik Tillman, just class. Again, we are seeing a guy just growing into a star game by game.
And a nod to an article from Sports Illustrated in 1994 by S.L. Price. I think one of Grant Wall's kind of mentors, or certainly somebody he looked up to. It was a profile of the Colombian team before the World Cup, right? Pele had picked them to be favorites in the tournament, even over his Brazil. So their coach, and this is the point I want to get to, Maturana, he's saying, we don't need to play like Argentina. We don't need to play like Brazil. We got to be Colombia, right? We got to stop pretending to be someone else. So what is that? Creativity, technique, possession, Valderrama, remember him ticking away in the midfield, short passing, and we'll express ourselves as Colombians. And in order to put that team together, he took some guys from the beach, some guys from the industrial sections of Colombia, Medellin, and then, other parts of the country, right? So I love that. It always stuck with me. What is a national team? And where do you get your players from? And the U.S. has a bunch of different guys, a diverse e pluribus unum type lineup, right? A bunch of them have German backgrounds. They're, in tune with the Gegenpressing. They have that American mentality, that sense of competition. And then Poch has put in maybe a little sprinkling of some Argentine stuff, the passion, the emotional intelligence and reacting to the game. And then this kind of relax and recover when you're not playing. So is this the mix, the melting pot soccer that we're looking for? I'll be curious to see.
We've been looking for a long time. That's all great. Some more narratives from the week. Iran, knocked out of the tournament. We were on that story back in March, pointing out that the U.S. boycotted the 1980 Olympics for less than what the U.S. has been doing around the world for the last couple of years. Iran did not need to come to this World Cup, but they did. They had to relocate their camp to Mexico at the last minute because the U.S. wouldn't let the team spend nights in the country, totally screwed up their training, their pregame prep, their postgame recovery, and still the Iranian team came 2 tight VAR decisions from winning their group. One last gasp Austria header from moving on anyway.
Exactly. I mean, and you're not alone in this, right? The transfer flow and other places are basically saying under normal conditions, Iran would have gotten out of its group and then had a chance to take on a power and take it down. So super frustrating for them.
And, within the Iranian narrative, they had a game against Egypt in Seattle at the start of Pride weekend. And infamously, we talked about this. Iran and Egypt had requested, the federations, the governments had requested that the game not be played there and then, and they were turned down. And the Iranian captain, Mehdi Taremi, was asked about the Iranian government's stance on LGBTQ rights. Meanwhile, gay marriage is again under attack in the U.S. Our government is trying to eliminate trans people from existence, which you might think is hyperbole, but the White House released a statement yesterday that said, Supreme Court bolsters President Trump's push to eliminate transgender insanity. That was the Supreme Court ruling that said that trans kids can be banned from playing sports.
Yeah, I mean, I read that some people are concerned that trans kids are stealing too many college athletic scholarships, which is kind of like being concerned that England wins too many World Cups.
But we're talking about a literal handful of trans kids playing high school sports. That's less than the number of Trump administration officials who are insider trading or in the Epstein files. Trans kids are literally one of the most at-risk communities in our country. Denying them the chance to feel accepted, to go out and play with other kids is vile, right? It is cruelty from people who get off on that. And since we're a podcast about American soccer, let's also point out that if your not trans kid is really good at soccer, random adults in many states can and will demand to check their genitals.
Like the kid's too big or the kid's too good. Something else must
Her hair's
be
very
going
short.
on, right?
His hair is very long. It's government by bigots and perverts. But unlike what the Iranian captain went through, no one's forcing Tim Ream to defend it.
And literally, I mean, yesterday was just interesting, right? The front pages are impacting the sporting pages. As we're speaking, as we're playing, the Supreme Court rules in favor of birthright citizenship.
Barely, right? Shouldn't have been 5-4. It's the 14th Amendment. It's black and white, and we squeaked through.
Narrow victory, but thank God, right? We need tourist birtherism so we can have the good number 9, right? I mean, folks listening should know that Flo Balogun's mother was so pregnant that airline officials said she could not travel. So he's born in Brooklyn and then spends the first weeks of his life in the Big Apple, goes back to London, goes through the Arsenal system, and then, gets drawn to the U.S. by Tab Ramos, who gives him his first camp, and then Greg Berhalter. So, yes, thank you, Supreme Court.
But again, imagine putting a microphone in Christian Pulisic's face after the game and saying, hey, your government wants to racially cleanse the United States of both of your goal scorers. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously not appropriate. He's not a politician. He's a soccer player, right? And so are the Iranians.
So let's just take this moment to recognize how extraordinarily badly the Iranian team was treated and how extraordinary their performance was anyway.
And come on, as a host nation, we're bombing their nation, right? I mean, that's not exactly being hospitable.
Amen.
Speaking of home country advantages, Jesse Marsh's Canadian team got to play its first knockout game ever in Los Angeles, where we know Jesse spent the summer before his senior year at Princeton.
We left a couple of years before Jesse got there, but we know that he'd gotten money from the school to research his senior thesis, which was, for some reason, about earthquake mitigation. It's exactly what you'd expect from a guy from the Midwest.
Hey, Kirk, did you get any money for your senior thesis?
I got no money to write a play for with Joyce Carol Oates. No, but I did get a pretty easy senior year.
Yeah. I remember seeing that play. No money, to fund my history of the African American community in Newark from 1917 to 1960.
I guess right after we left, they just started giving it away. Jesse used his grant to rent an apartment in Westwood and then hang out in LA for the summer, surfing and partying and hanging out with one of his teammates, Jeff Plunkett, a very talented filmmaker whose older brother, Kevin, is a longtime friend and colleague of mine.
Not clear how much actual research happened that summer, that endless summer, but it was enough for Jesse to graduate, and the city was obviously good luck for him against South Africa's Bafana Bafana.
But let's also, while we're crediting the U.S. national team rightfully for what they're showing on the world stage, let's credit Jesse as an example of U.S. soccer showing its level to the world. Canada is playing mostly without its two best players, right? Davies and Bombito have been coming off of injuries, very limited minutes. Poor Kone was hurt in the first game. Nobody would have rated them with Germany or the Netherlands, but Canada's still in the tournament.
They've done well. They've shown up well. And I mean, obviously, all three host nations make it to the round of 16, which I think was bare minimum, but, hopeful, right? And here it is. And how many can get to the round of 8? We might end our discussion with that. I don't know. But if this World Cup is a tipping point for other continents, the ones denied visas to come to the U.S., we'll see. The famed Dutch midfielder, Clarence Seedorf, said that the African countries are finally showing this combination of tactical ability and physical ability, which that's kind of a loaded thing to say, or it is a loaded thing to say, but that's been a narrative for a long, long time. And just look at England, right? The narrow escape versus DR Congo and Senegal's heartbreak against our next opponent, Belgium.
Our good friend Peter Alleghi pointed out that 2 Afro-Belgians scored the goals in that game. And he said, doesn't get more neo-colonial than that.
Teaching moment, right, for Dr. Alleghi? Round of 16, the minimum for the United States, right? We had to get here, right? But I'm not saying it's this massively historic victory. The next one, I think, would prove that, right?
Yeah, look,
fighting for history. That's fighting for history for me.
It's still a diluted field. This round of 32 opponent, Bosnia, if we drew them in our first round group, that would have been one of the, that's a winnable games, right? So great result. We're glad that the U.S. showed up and played well, but you're right. That's not taking down a giant. Belgium, even though it's not the Belgium of the golden generation anymore, you still perk up when you see De Bruyne, Lukaku, Trossard, Doku on the field. They've got some phenomenal players. Courtois still in the goal. So they'll be tough. Scalp.
They'll be tough. But I think we're going to bring energy level. I think the crowd's going to bring its thing. Maybe that's the home cooking that we want.
Look, it feels like a World Cup where an outsider squeaks into the Final Four. As tough as that is to do, it feels like we get it's a Morocco or a South Korea or someone popping in who you don't expect.
So I don't think it's going to be Canada, right? Sorry, Jesse. Then it's down to Mexico and the United States. So let's talk about Mexico first, right? I mean, Azteca, England, talk about fighting history or fighting for history. I mean, England doesn't have great history in the Azteca. Diego Armando Maradona, hand of God at the Azteca. Altitude, not going to be great heat on the night, but I think Mexico, there's an upset in the offing.
England won't have as many batteries or bags of urine thrown at them as the U.S. gets during CONCACAF stuff, but that's a tough place to play.
Let's get them CONCACAF down there. Let's the noise outside the hotel, the altitude, let's give them the treatment.
So week 3, lovely to check in again.
No, come on. You got to make a prediction for U.S. Belgium. Come on. I'm saying Canada doesn't win. Mexico's an upset, and give us your U.S.
U.S. wins 3-2. Ricardo Pepi comes up with one when we need it. Big game for that kid. Balogun's got big boots to fill. But yeah, I think 3-2 U.S.
He needs to wear smaller shorts, right? Those baggy shorts made him look like, a 6-year-old in a 10-year-old uniform. So maybe tighten that up. El Paso's finest, another great soccer town.
And again, part of our diverse melting pot of U.S. national team, which we love. Week 3, the narratives won't stop coming, and we're not going to stop checking in to share some of our thoughts on them with you. Happy birthday, United States. We'll be back next week.
Because this is an American game.